Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So it's just me today. Martyn is at work, but I really wanted to just kind of have a really cozy chat. I haven't filmed a video on my own for so long. So yeah, I just kind of felt the urge to film, and so I thought, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So today I thought I'd share with you my kind of top Netflix recommendations. These are like TV shows that I've watched over the past year or so, and they're the ones that I always like recommend to my friends. So I thought we could just have a really nice cozy chat where I just recommend some of my favourite Netflix series. So there are loads of Netflix TV series. I think over the past like 2-3 years, Netflix has completely like taken over the world. There's so many like original Netflix shows now, and yeah, I watch it all the time. It's probably the next thing I watch the most after YouTube. I probably watch YouTube and then Netflix. So I have watched quite a lot of Netflix shows. If I don't mention them in here, it's either A, because I forgot that I've watched them, or B, it just didn't make my recommendations. But obviously in the comments, please let me know all your favourite TV shows, because there are so many more that I haven't got around to watching yet. And sometimes I spend so long just like scrolling through. I spend like half an hour scrolling through, and then I end up like not watching anything because I can't make up my mind. So I always love hearing people's recommendations, so that I can just go straight to it and watch it. So I'm gonna try and make this video not too long, but I do have quite a few. I've got them all on my phone here. So let's get started. So number one is Call the Midwife. Now, this is quite a new show for me, even though I know it has been running for so long, and I think it's also on BBC iPlayer as well. But I started watching it in the summer of 2019 whilst I was on the ship, and when I came back from the ship, Martyn started watching it with me as well, and we're now up to season 7, I think, and we're near the end. And then so I think we've caught up because season 8 starts this January in the UK. Oh, by the way, this is all UK Netflix, because I know some Netflix varies depending where you are. So yeah, Call the Midwife has been running since 2012. It's still going, which I'm so happy about. I really don't want it to end. I absolutely love it. It's actually based on a book, on a memoirs, which Martyn got me for Christmas. I'm gonna have a read of that. And it's set in the 1950s, 60s of the East End of London, and it follows the lives of midwives in that time, and it goes through so many different characters. Each episode kind of focuses on a different character. Although they have a core group of midwives, it will focus on a certain midwife with a certain family, but it is just so good. There are some really heart-wrenchingly sad moments. I've cried a lot watching it, but there are also such heartwarming moments. It's really interesting to see how it's changed from the 1950s to now, and I just love it. It's just kind of my go-to series at the moment. We pretty much watch an episode a night. So yeah, if you haven't watched Called the Midwife, I would highly recommend giving it a go, and there are so many series. So yeah, you've got a lot of episodes to watch. Next is You, and this is on its 2nd season. I'm near the end of the 2nd season now, and this is very different to Called the Midwife. It is, I think it's also based on a book actually, but it tells the story of Will, who's this kind of creepy guy, and it's from his point of view, and he becomes like obsessed with girls that he falls in love with, and it kind of tells it from his point of view in a way, and it shows how he justifies how he acts. But it's really good. It's really gripping. It does have quite a lot of gore in it, and it is kind of thriller-esque. So yeah, bear that in mind if you're thinking about watching it. But it is so good. There's so many twists and turns, and it's also the guy who plays Dan Humphries from Gossip Girl, and I was a huge Gossip Girl fan, so yeah, I love it. It's really good. And yeah, I'm just about to finish season 2, which is equally as good as season 1. So yeah, definitely give that a watch. So next is The Crown. I adore The Crown. Everything about it. I think I read somewhere that it has cost so much money to produce, and you can just see it from the way it's filmed. it is incredibly filmed. Each episode just feels like a mini film in itself, and it follows the lives of obviously the royal family and mostly the Queen, but it also tells the stories of different members of the royal family as well. And it's just so good. So the first 2 seasons, it was when she was a lot younger, and then the 3rd season, which has just come out now, is obviously them all a little bit older, and they also have a new cast. So they have like Helena Bonham Carter and Olivia Colman now. But it is really interesting, and there has been episodes where I've like researched what actually happened afterwards, because it's just been so interesting. And yeah, I would highly recommend watching it, even just watching it for how it's filmed, and the cinematography is incredible. I'm also excited to see how it's going to progress, and obviously all the new royal family members, how they're going to get entwined. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to how this is going to go. And I think they're even going to change cast again. So they've had 2 seasons with one cast. I think they're going to do another 2 seasons with the current cast, and then as she gets older, they're going to recast it all again. And I think it's really clever. It's really good, and it keeps it fresh as well. So next on my list is When They See Us, which was incredible. It actually took my breath away. It was one of the best series, if not the best series that I've watched recently. And it is a drama, but based on the real life events of the Central Park 5. You might have heard of them. It was a massive case in the 80s in New York City, and 5 really young men, I think they were aged 13 to 16, were wrongfully convicted of a rape and murder that happened in Central Park. And it tells their story from before it all started to their journey into the courtroom, into prison, and into life after prison. And it is really hard to watch at times. It's definitely not easy viewing, but it is like necessary viewing. It really is an important story to be told, and it covers the issue of race in that time, but also unfortunately now, and how these young men were basically forced into admitting to being guilty when they weren't at all. And yeah, and there's also a interview with Oprah Winfrey. It's like at the end of the series, there's like a special hour-long interview where she interviews the cast and the director, but she also interviews the actual men. And it's an incredible interview. It's hard watching again, but it's really eye-opening, and yeah, I would highly recommend giving When They See Us a watch. Next is another show which I absolutely love, and it's called Atypical. It is so good. It's such a feel-good show. If you're looking for a feel-good, light-hearted, but still has really strong emotion to it, then this is one definitely to watch. So there have been 2 seasons so far, and they're both on Netflix, and I've watched them both. And it follows the story of a guy called Sam, who's a teenager, who has autism, and it kind of follows his life, but also his family's life, and his sister as well. She has like an amazing storyline, and it is just so good. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's feel good. Obviously it doesn't represent everyone with autism, but it does tell his particular story and how he goes through life with his autism really, really well. And I just love it. It's just so good. Next is Love, and it had 3 seasons, and they're all on Netflix. It's finished now. But I really like this. It's really different. It's kind of like a comedy, but kind of like more of a darker comedy. But it's really, really good, and if you're looking for something that's a little bit different, I would highly recommend watching this. Basically it follows the story of a guy and a girl who fall in love, but there is so much more to it than that, and it's like the ups and downs and the roller coaster of their relationship. But yeah, it's really different. Yeah, that's all. I don't really want to give too much away about it, but yeah, I would highly recommend Love. Next is another kind of dark comedy, and this is Afterlife, by Ricky Gervais, and he actually stars in it as well. This I watched pretty much all of it in one go. I was ill one day during rehearsals for the ship, and I was laying in bed feeling sorry for myself, and I just watched the whole season and I cried so much. It was just so good. I think they have a second season that's coming in 2020. So it follows the story of a guy who kind of has just given up on the world completely after his wife dies, and he says that he's just going to punish the world by doing and saying exactly what he likes and not caring. So he's really mean, really rude, and there are some really funny bits. It kind of is like a dark comedy, but then there's also some really heartfelt, honest parts, and some of it felt so raw. The writing was incredible, that it just really gets you here, and I cried my eyes out. One or two scenes nearer the end of the season, it was just incredible. So next on my list is probably something which a lot of people have already watched, but it's Stranger Things. I actually haven't finished season 3 yet. We're really behind in watching it. Myself and Martyn watch it together because I'm too big a wimp. I really don't like, I love thrillers, but I really don't like horror, and it's more sci-fi, but it kind of starts to go into that horror feel. There's a lot of like jumpy moments, so if you are a bit of a wimp like me, I would recommend watching it with someone else. And it's set in the 80s, it's really cool, and yeah, it's all about sci-fi and aliens, and it's a lot of fun. And the young boys in it, and also Millie Bobby Brown, who plays 11, they're all so cool. Like, they're really cool kids. But it's all kind of a lot of sci-fi, so if you're into sci-fi, I think you'll really like it. But it's also really nostalgic because it's set in the 80s, the fashion is really cool, and yeah, if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I'm sure you all have, but if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I would definitely give it a go. Next is a show which... Next is a show that unfortunately has finished now, but it was Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and honestly it was one of my favourite TV shows I've ever watched. So I'm a massive musical theatre nerd, so if any of you love musical theatre, you have to watch this show. But even if you don't like musical theatre, I think you will really like it. And it actually wasn't something which Martyn thought he was going to enjoy, just from reading about it. But I watched the first episode, and he kind of watched it over my shoulder while he was doing something, and then he really got into it. It is so much fun, and there is so many musical numbers in each episode. So it follows the story of a lawyer who quits her job in New York and travels to West Covina in California, I think, and to pursue this guy that she's loved since being a teenager. And it's really silly, but it also has really heartfelt moments in it. She's very Rachel Bloom is so talented. She stars in it and she also writes it. She writes all the songs, with co-writers as well, but they're just so funny, they're so incredible, and each song is kind of a spoof of a certain genre or a certain song or a certain artist or musical, and I absolutely love it. It is so much fun, and there are some really like laugh out loud moments where I've been in hysterics. So if you love musicals, if you love comedies, and it's really original, it's really different. I think there have been, how many seasons? There have been 4 seasons, but each season is quite long. But yeah, I would highly recommend Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. You won't regret it. So next on my list is Queer Eye. I think there's been 2 seasons and I haven't fully finished the 2nd season, but I love Queer Eye. Each episode is completely different, and these 5 guys travel to someone and they basically make over their life. And it sounds quite superficial, and some of it is, because some of it is like changing their hair, or they change their house and whatever, but the reasons behind each makeover are always so emotional, and they leave and the person basically has a brand new life. And some of the stories are incredible and heartbreaking, but it is just so much fun, and the 5 guys are so cool. I love them all. So they're called the Fab Five, and they're all like, they all specialise in something different. So you've got one which is all about food, one which is like interior, one which is grooming, one which is fashion, and one which is like culture. and they make up the Fab Five, and they are awesome. I want them to come and make over my life. So next on my list is Dr. Foster. This originally aired on the BBC, but now it's on Netflix, both seasons. And I rewatched this actually on the ship with my friend Tom, because he'd never seen it before. And I loved watching it again. Like, it was just as good the second time. And oh, it's incredible. It stars Saran Jones, and it basically tells the story of a woman who suspects her husband is having an affair, and I don't want to give any more away than that. There are so many twists and turns. There's like bits where I'm literally like on the edge of your seat, like what is gonna happen. It's so good. If you love like thriller kind of dramas, you will absolutely love this. It is so good. So Dr. Foster, highly recommend. So next is quite an old series. I actually watched this a while ago, but I really wanted to include it because it is one of my all-time favourite Netflix series, and it is Gilmore Girls. It is incredible. We watched it from start to finish, myself and Martyn. It took us a while. There are 7 seasons, but it is just so good. It's so heartwarming, and if you want something to watch that's just gonna kind of feel cozy and it's lovely to watch over winter, yeah, you have to give Gilmore Girls a watch. It's mostly about the relationship between a single mother and her daughter, and it tells the stories of all their loves and also all their challenges in life. And they actually filmed Gilmore Girls A Year in the Life recently, which is really good because it went back and it kind of showed where they are now. And yeah, it had all the favourite characters in there. There are some absolutely lovable characters. Yeah, Gilmore Girls. Next on my list is How to Get Away with Murder. Now, I'm not sure, I think we are a little bit behind America when it comes to How to Get Away with Murder. I can't remember what season we're up to here, but there are 6 seasons at the moment. And this is really good. It's really gripping. It's basically what it says in the title. It is kind of a thriller drama, all about Annalise Keating, who's played by Viola Davis, who is just, she is an incredible actress. And she is a top lawyer, and she has these students that intern with her, and basically a lot happens. It's really, really gripping. It is very over the top at times. It's very in your face. It's very fast. But it's a really good watch. If you like thriller dramas, I think you'll enjoy it. Next is another BBC drama, which is on Netflix, and it's called Happy Valley. I think there's 2 seasons. And it's really, really good. It stars Sarah Lancashire, who I think is an incredible actress, and it is a police drama. It's based in West Yorkshire, and yeah, it's really good. If you enjoy police dramas, I would highly recommend Happy Valley. So I think that's all. I think I have kind of maybe done too much. I don't know how long this video is, so I think I better stop there. Obviously there are some which I might have left off this list that I love, so I probably will do an updated version in the future if you enjoyed watching it. And please let me know all your Netflix recommendations. I also want to do one on films and movies as well, because there are some really good ones on Netflix. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!